The man had signed billion-dollar deals without blinking, but when a small voice asked him, "Are you lost too, mister?" in the middle of the airport, his entire world quietly collapsed. The airport was loud, but inside him, there was only silence. Ethan Cole sat alone near Gate 47, dressed in a tailored charcoal suit that screamed success to everyone except himself. His private jet waited outside. His assistant had stepped away to take a call. His phone buzzed with emails, stock alerts, and congratulatory messages about the merger that had made him one of the youngest CEOs to ever cross $10 billion in valuation. Yet Ethan stared at the floor as if it held answers money never could. He hadn't slept. He hadn't cried in years. And he hadn't spoken to his daughter in 3 months. That's when the girl appeared. She couldn't have been more than 7. Her shoes were mismatched. Her hair was tied in a messy ponytail. She held a pink backpack that looked almost as heavy as she was. She stood directly in front of him, peering up with wide, curious eyes. "Are you lost too, mister?" she asked. Ethan looked up, confused. "What? You look like you don't know where you're going," she said simply. "That's what lost people look like." He almost laughed. "Almost. I know exactly where I'm going," he replied. The girl tilted her head. "Then why do you look so sad?" That did it. Something inside him cracked, not loudly, not dramatically, but deep enough to hurt. Before he could answer, a frantic woman ran toward them. "Lily! I told you to stay right there!" The girl waved. "Mommy, he's lost." The woman apologized repeatedly, pulling Lily away, but as they left, Lily turned back and said, "If you're lost, you can sit with us. Lost people shouldn't be alone." Ethan watched them disappear into the crowd. For reasons he didn't understand, he canceled his flight. Minutes later, he found himself sitting across from Lily and her mother, Anna, at a small airport cafe. Anna explained they were flying home after Lily's medical checkup. Lily had a heart condition. She talked about it casually, as if it were just another thing, like homework or bedtime. "You're very brave," Ethan said. Lily shrugged. "I'm not brave. I'm just alive." Those words followed him like an echo. As they talked, Ethan learned Anna worked 2 jobs. Lily loved drawing airports because everyone here is going somewhere important. Ethan smiled at that. He hadn't felt important in years. When boarding was announced, Lily hugged him without asking. "Don't stay lost," she whispered. That night, alone in his penthouse, Ethan couldn't sleep. He thought about his childhood, how his own father had missed birthdays, school plays, and hospital visits in the name of success. He thought about how he had become the same man. He opened his phone. He typed his daughter's name. And then he froze. The merger meeting was scheduled for the next morning. The biggest decision of his career. But for the first time, Ethan wondered, what if success wasn't the destination at all? The world expected Ethan Cole to choose profit over people, but no one expected the little girl at the airport to already have the answer he'd been chasing his whole life. The boardroom was silent as Ethan walked in late. 12 executives stared at him, waiting. The deal papers lay neatly stacked, ready to be signed. "Are we proceeding?" the chairman asked. Ethan looked at the documents, then out the window, where planes lifted into the sky, each carrying someone towards something they believed mattered. "No," Ethan said calmly. "We're not." Gasps filled the room. He explained his decision. The merger would shut down smaller divisions, cost thousands their jobs, and destroy the company culture he once claimed to value. He proposed an alternative: slower growth, ethical investment, employee-first policies. Some executives walked out. Ethan didn't stop them. The media called him reckless. Investors panicked. Headlines questioned his sanity. But something strange happened. Employees stayed. Productivity rose. Public trust followed. Months later, Ethan received a letter written in crayon. It was from Lily. Inside was a drawing of an airport, but this time, one man stood smiling beside a little girl. Above them, she had written, "You found your way." Ethan framed it. He also did something else. He stepped down as CEO. Not because he failed, but because he finally understood success. He started a foundation for children with heart conditions. He reconnected with his daughter, attending every recital, every doctor visit, every ordinary moment that once felt unimportant. Years later, Ethan ran into Lily again, this time walking confidently through the same airport, her heart stronger, her smile brighter. "You don't look lost anymore," she said. Ethan knelt to her level. "Neither do you." She laughed. "I was never lost." As they parted ways, Ethan realized the truth. Some people spend their whole lives chasing destinations, only to discover that what they were searching for had been waiting in a quiet moment, a simple question, and the courage to listen. Because sometimes, the smallest voices guide us home. Choosing people over power would bring peace. But first, it took everything he had built and tested whether he truly meant what he said. Stepping away from the CEO's seat didn't feel heroic. It felt terrifying. The first few months were brutal. Without his title, doors didn't open as easily. Calls went unanswered. Friends who once praised his vision now avoided his name. Some investors blamed him for losses they barely understood. Online forums mocked him, calling him the emotional billionaire who let feelings ruin business. Ethan read every comment late at night, alone in his apartment that felt too big without purpose. The foundation he started struggled at first. Donations were slow. Paperwork was endless. Parents came to him desperate, tired, carrying children whose hearts beat with effort instead of ease. Ethan listened to their stories, each one heavier than the last. Some nights, he sat in his car and cried before going inside. This was harder than running a corporation. One evening, after a long hospital visit, Ethan received a call from his daughter, Sophie. She was 12 now, sharp, guarded, and careful with her emotions. "Dad," she said quietly, "are you coming to my science fair tomorrow?" Ethan froze. He had missed so many moments before, always with a reason, always with an apology that arrived too late. "Yes," he said. "I'll be there early." She paused. "Okay." That single word meant more to him than any boardroom victory. At the science fair, Ethan stood beside Sophie's project as she explained it nervously to judges. When she finished, she looked at him, not for approval, but to see if he was really there. He was. That night, Sophie said something that stayed with him forever. "You're different now," she said. "You listen." Ethan realized then that losing his old life had made room for a better one. Weeks later, Lily's mother, Anna, invited him to Lily's follow-up appointment. The doctor smiled more this time. Lily's condition had improved. Treatment was working. As Lily swung her legs on the hospital bed, she asked, "Did you stop being lost?" Ethan smiled. "I think I finally stopped running." Lily nodded seriously. "Running makes your heart tired." Ethan understood exactly what she meant. Years later, in the same airport where a lonely CEO once waited for a flight he never took, a man stood smiling, because now, he knew exactly why he was there. The airport hadn't changed. The noise, the rushing crowds, the departure boards, it all looked the same. But Ethan had. He now traveled economy, carried his own bag, and spent most of his time visiting hospitals, schools, and small communities where hope was fragile but alive. His foundation had grown, not into a massive empire, but into something sustainable, human, and real. On this day, he was waiting for Sophie, who was flying in from college. She was studying biomedical engineering, inspired by the children she'd met through the foundation. As Ethan waited, he noticed a man sitting alone near gate 47. The man wore an expensive suit. His eyes were tired. His phone buzzed nonstop, but he ignored it. Ethan hesitated. Then he walked over and sat beside him. The man glanced up. "Do you need something?" Ethan smiled gently. "You look like you don't know where you're going," he said. The man frowned. "I know exactly where I'm going." Ethan nodded. "Then why do you look so sad?" The man didn't answer. A little girl ran past them, laughing, her heartbeat monitor visible beneath her shirt. Lily waved as she passed, healthy and full of life. Ethan stood. "My flight's boarding," he said. "But if you're lost, you don't have to sit alone." He walked away before the man could respond. As Ethan reunited with Sophie, he felt something settle inside him, a quiet certainty. Life wasn't about finding the fastest route, the highest position, or the loudest applause. It was about presence. About listening. About answering small questions honestly. And sometimes, about letting a child remind you that being lost isn't a failure, it's an invitation to find something better. Because the truth is simple. You're not truly lost when you don't know where you're going. You're lost when you forget why you started. And the moment you remember, that's when the journey finally begins.